In today's video, we delve into a pressing debate that intersects climate activism and personal freedoms. Climate activism or climate communism? Are we losing our freedom? We'll explore the origins of climate activism, the controversial notion of climate communism, and how these movements influence our everyday lives. As we weigh the balance between regulation and individual freedom, we'll also address public perceptions, misconceptions, and the critical role education plays in fostering informed discussions. Join us as we examine global perspectives, alternative solutions, and innovations that could shape our future. 1. The roots of climate activism. Climate activism has its origins in the environmental movements of the 1960s and 1970s. It began as a grassroots effort to protect the planet from industrial pollution and resource exploitation. Over time, climate activists have sought to influence policies and behaviors to mitigate the effects of climate change. Their work is often fueled by scientific evidence indicating the adverse effects of greenhouse gas emissions on global temperatures. It's important to recognize that climate activism is grounded in a desire to preserve the planet for future generations. However, as the movement has grown, so has the debate around its impact on personal freedoms. 2. The concept of climate communism. The term climate communism is used by some critics to suggest that climate activism imposes restrictive measures that infringe on personal liberties. This term implies a forced collectivism where individual choices are overridden by government mandates in the name of environmental protection. Critics argue that policies like carbon taxes, restrictions on fossil fuel use, and mandated changes in consumption habits can limit economic freedom and personal autonomy. However, supporters of climate activism argue that such measures are necessary to prevent catastrophic climate impacts and ensure a sustainable future. 3. How policies impact daily life. Climate policies can have a direct impact on everyday life. For instance, regulations that require a reduction in carbon emissions can affect industries, leading to changes in job markets and consumer prices. Some individuals may see these policies as an infringement on their freedom to choose, such as driving traditional fuel-powered cars or using plastic products. On the other hand, proponents argue that these policies are essential steps towards a healthier planet. They often cite examples like the successful reduction of air pollution in cities that have implemented stringent environmental regulations as evidence that these measures can be both necessary and effective. 4. The balance between regulation and freedom. One of the biggest challenges in addressing climate change is finding a balance between implementing effective regulations and maintaining individual freedoms. This balance is crucial because policies perceived as too restrictive can lead to public resistance, undermining the movement's goals. It's a delicate dance between necessary intervention and overreach. For example, while restrictions on carbon emissions are essential, they must be designed in a way that considers economic impacts and personal freedoms. Striking this balance requires thoughtful policy making and open dialogue between governments, industries, and the public. 5. Public perception and misunderstandings. The public's perception of climate activism can often be clouded by misinformation and misunderstandings. Some people view activists as alarmists who exaggerate the risks of climate change. Others see them as champions of the earth, fighting against corporate interests that prioritize profits over the planet. These differing perceptions can influence public support or opposition to climate policies. Understanding the science behind climate change and recognizing the genuine concerns driving activism are crucial for informed discussions. It's essential to approach the conversation with an open mind and a willingness to consider diverse perspectives. 6. The role of education in climate discussion. Education plays a vital role in shaping how individuals understand and engage with climate issues. Educating the public about climate science, the impacts of global warming, and the necessity of sustainable practices can help dispel myths and reduce resistance to necessary policies. Schools, universities, and media outlets have a responsibility to provide clear, accurate information. By fostering an informed public, societies can work towards solutions that balance environmental needs with individual freedoms. Education empowers individuals to make informed choices and participate meaningfully in the climate dialogue. 7. Exploring alternatives and innovation. Innovation and technology offer promising pathways for addressing climate challenges without compromising individual freedoms. Advances in renewable energy, such as solar and wind power, provide alternatives to fossil fuels. Electric vehicles are becoming more accessible, offering a cleaner mode of transportation. These innovations can reduce the need for restrictive policies by providing sustainable options that align with modern lifestyles. Encouraging investment in green technologies and supporting research can drive progress towards a future where environmental protection and personal freedom coexist harmoniously. 8. Global perspectives on climate policy. Climate change is a global issue, and responses vary significantly across countries. Some nations have embraced ambitious climate policies, while others remain hesitant due to economic or political concerns. These differences can lead to disparities in how climate policies are perceived and implemented. For example, European countries often lead in renewable energy adoption, while others rely heavily on fossil fuels. Understanding these global perspectives is essential for fostering international cooperation and crafting policies that respect diverse contexts while addressing the urgent need for climate action.